Well, it's truly amazing to see so many people coming into the six screens. Friends, this is where ex Jehovah's Witnesses come to talk, and they come here every Saturday night. They've been doing it for 20 years, and they also kept coming in on Sunday afternoon, beginning at 1 o'clock. So every Saturday night and every other Sunday, we do the six screens exposing the Watchtower organization. Well, my name's Rick Farron, and I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in, of course, Boston, Massachusetts. Well, I'm about 20 miles north of Boston. I'm in a little town called Tewksbury. But I have to tell you, folks, we had such a great time at the 2025 convention that we had just last August. And of course, it was still alive in 2025. We had 350 apostates, criticizers, opposers of the Watchtower show up for that convention. And what a wonderful time we all had. I am still kind of tiptoeing through the tulips here. It's really so amazing. We had so much fun. And I want to thank all those people that made the trek up here to be with us at the Six Screens convention. So thank you for that. And well, anyways, we got a lot of things going on here. A lot of things. We know that things are changing in the witness world. We talk about it all the time, every Saturday night. And, I'm not looking through rose colored glasses, but I want you all to know. I know you all know anyways. So sometimes I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. But the Watchtower is in deep trouble. I got information from Barbara Anderson today. And now the country of France is coming down heavy on the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're just really. These countries have had enough. This organization is destroying families through this shunning and disfellowshipping. People are dying from refusing blood transfusions. And this covering up of child sexual abuse is got to end soon. It's got to. So people are finding out about it. But not just people, not just us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses themselves. And even to bring it into a bigger arena, let's go with countries. Countries are now finding out how bad, how corrupt this organization is. In the country of France right now, well, there was a young woman over there that was being shunned badly. And of course, the government got wind of it and talked to her. And she let them be aware of the fact of how evil the Watchtower is and how they break apart families and what have you. Hey, no country. Well, would you want to run a country and have an organization? Well, I'm not going to quite call it a terrorist organization. I wouldn't go that far, but I'd like to. In some respects, I've heard that said before, that the Watchtower is a terrorist organization. And then why would they say that? One of the most precious things in the human existence is having friends and relatives. Isn't that the most important thing? Well, when you stop and just give it some consideration, everything else comes and goes. Your job, your money, sometimes even your loved ones, you lose them. But to have good friends and relatives that you really appreciate, family, that is so important, so considerably the best thing that could happen to you is if you had this in your life. People pay fortunes to have good friends and even your relatives. What's it worth to have them all nice to you? It's worth a lot, right? But the Watchtower can step in and destroy it in a heartbeat. When they say you had this fellowship, it's all over. Stick a fork in you, take you off the grill because basically you are cooked. So that's why we do our programming here. And we do it every Saturday night, like I say. And that's why these countries, it's not just France. What about Norway? We're still waiting to hear what the Supreme Court in Norway is going to do with these bums. I hope the Watchtower loses their case. I mean, you all know about it. I'm not going to go into it. But let's all hope and pray Watchtower loses. And we got Norway, we got Denmark, we got Sweden, we got France, we got Japan, we got Russia, we got Slovakia. All of these countries, I counted 14 of them, 14 countries that are coming down on the Watchtower. And I tell you every week, isn't it nice to have allies. And I'm looking now at the governments of these countries as being the ex witnesses' allies. They're helping us. We've been trying for years. All of us ex witnesses and all you YouTube creators and all the people that are exposing the Watchtower on Facebook and all of these different ways you're doing it, I give you all credit. Thank you for being who you are and stepping out and exposing this religion. And you're all doing a great job. You're doing a great job because it's getting the attention of so many witnesses as well. But now we got the countries that are helping us put some points on the scoreboard. And isn't that a wonderful thing? It's great to have points on a scoreboard. You don't want to always be losing the game. And we're not losing. We lost for years. We were so-called mentally ill. We were agents of Satan, the devil. But now here we are, and we can all smile. We can all hang our heads. Well, I can lift our heads up, as we say, because we are now winning the game. The score has changed. Watchtower is losing. And how wonderful that sounds, right? And, it's not, I don't have this personal, vindictive, go kill these people type attitude. I don't. Most of the Jehovah's Witnesses that I knew, there were some that I didn't like, really. But most of the ones that I knew, I liked those guys. They were nice people. It's just the Watchtower has distorted their way of thinking. And you probably feel the same way. So when we talk here on Saturday night and every other Sunday, I'm not really picking on the individual rank and file Jehovah's Witness. I'm picking on the Watchtower organization, one of the most dangerous and destructive organizations on the planet. So that's who I'm picking on. So if you're listening in and you're exiting the Watchtower, don't really think, a bunch of mad, irate apostates. We have a very good community here. We have really a very tight-knit community, and it really amazes me. Every Saturday night we have many of the same people come in. We get new ones too, but you're certainly welcome to be part of the Six Screens community. It's a great community. It's like a giant therapeutic discussion, and we can all help one another, right? Because we've all been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. A few things I'm going to go into tonight. We're going to talk, I'm not going to talk about it first, but we're going to be talking about this Epstein thing. This is really, really getting to the point that there's got to be some Watchtower connections here. And I got some things I want to share with you that you're going to find fascinating, but we're not going to do that now. We're going to talk about a few things right off the bat here that we'll discuss first. Then we'll come back to Epstein because I'm sure a lot of people out there listening in that they have a lot to say about it. And so anyways, what I want to start off with here, friends, tonight is, I don't know if you heard this or not, but this really caught my attention. And here's the headlines. It's out of a German newspaper. 3 injured in Würzburg, Germany. Jehovah's Witnesses attacked with knives at their stand. Well, that would be at their carts that they wheel around, right? Now, I've been saying for the last year, and many of you people were saying, Rick, you're exaggerating. You are certainly not leveling with the audience, because I would say on the air here, if you become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, send me an invitation to your funeral. I've been saying that for a year. Now, I haven't said it quite as much in the last few months, but I would say that all the time because it's dangerous. It's very dangerous to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses today. So you say, no, knock it off, Rick. It can't be that dangerous. It's dangerous. As a matter of fact, even the German government is now recognizing it as very dangerous. Now, just this week, a few days ago, in if I'm pronouncing this right, I believe it's Würzburg, Germany, the incident reveals the brutal brutality behind the supposedly peaceful facade. In other words, it's peaceful. You get a little card out there, you get some magazines. It's a peaceful facade. So they're saying that something brutal happened behind this peaceful cart. Okay, those who are in the New York headquarters, that would be the headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses. They're aware of what's happening, according to the German government and the newspaper article I'm reading here. They're aware, the Watchtower organization is aware of how defenseless these people are, going door to door and standing behind a cart somewhere in some city around the world. The Watchtower, according to the information coming in here to 6 screens, the Watchtower organization is aware of how defenseless, how they're in harm's way. Let's go with that. Now, what happens? A 35-year-old man over there in Germany, he attacked the Jehovah's Witnesses with a knife. Now, 3 Jehovah's Witness men, age 51 to 68, I just don't know why they don't give the other date here, but 3 men, 51 to 68, sustained injuries. And the target was that they call a trolley stand. They call it a trolley stand, but we know it as a cart, right? So anyways, they were attacked. Now, things I want to share with you tonight, and I just want to emphasize how dangerous this is. I'm not trying to embellish this. I'm not trying to sensationalize this. I just hope you're listening in if you're Jehovah's Witness or you have relatives that are, and remind them how dangerous it is to go out in the field ministry or even stand behind one of those carts, because you're actually a target. So this passive preaching behind a stand or directly at a stranger's doorstep, according to the paper here, has become a danger zone. A danger zone. Now, I don't know if it was a danger zone, 20 years ago when I was going out in service, but now it's being called a danger zone. I mean, I had a gun pulled on me once. I had some pretty nasty things happen when I was going door to door. And so, but now they're calling it a danger zone. I never really thought of it as a danger zone. So anyways, Jehovah's Witnesses are becoming human targets. I'm not saying that. The German newspaper is saying it. So while the governing body dictates strategy from its secure headquarters in Warwick, New York, the brothers and the sisters are on the front lines, often without any protection or security. That's right. They're out there on their own dime, so to speak. They don't carry weapons. And really, when you stop and think about it, beneath the surface here, many Jehovah's Witnesses are talking to one another, and they're actually discussing this on how dangerous it could be going door to door. There's a lot of stuff simmering under the witness world. They're not going to tell the elders about it, but they're starting to say, boy, this is really too much. And it's making a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses very uneasy. Just like if you was going out in service right now, look at people today. What happened to all the door-to-door people? Well, what happened to the Avon lady? What happened to the fuller brush man? Whatever happened to the bread man? Whatever happened to the insurance man, the milkman? I mean, these guys used to come to your house. They don't do it anymore. No, they don't, because nobody wants to knock on a stranger's door today. I'd have a hard time doing it. You go out and you knock on a stranger's door, especially if you're a sister working with another sister, you are asking for trouble. It could be very dangerous. We get information here to 6 screens, but even when I was a witness, I heard of some people getting, abducted, or even someone trying to rape some of these sisters when they go in service work. So there's a massive conflict. Right now, there's a massive conflict in the organization. They're aware of the dangers of sending people out doing their work. But the conflict that the witnesses are actually having is they want to be very obedient to the New York headquarters, but yet at the same time, they're nervous. They're afraid to go out. And if you had, suppose you were a witness man and wife, and you had a daughter that wanted to pioneer, and she's going out every day in the pioneer work. Would you like that? Would you feel comfortable? When you go out to a stranger's house today, it's not like it used to be. Why do you think people have these Ring doorbell video cameras? Why do you think people speak through a speaker system? People just don't come to the door and say, hi, how are you? They got chains, they got all kinds of locks. They open the door a little bit. Who are you? You're an uninvited guest. I don't want to be an uninvited guest knocking on a door trying to convince someone of religion. You're liable to get shot doing something like that, really. So, the Watchtower, I'm going to hold the Watchtower organization here somewhat responsible. I'm not going to hold them 100% because people have the right to choose not to go out. But, the Watchtower wants them to. They know the dangers of it. So it's very strange that the Watchtower doesn't give more warnings. I know when you get a cart, for example, because I had some people on here one night that were ex-witnesses. They did the cart work, and they said that there's like a protocol you have to follow, and they tell you to be careful and watch your surroundings and be careful. So I mean, hey, these cities are wicked these days. I mean, people are walking down New York City and getting hit with a baseball bat. I mean, you're standing there in a cart. You never know what could happen. So this is not a good thing. The Jehovah's Witnesses are really discussing this among themselves, and the governing body is ducking under cover here. They really don't want to say too much about it because it could be personal liability situations going on, right? So this Würzburg, Germany incident, friends, it's not an isolated case. In fact, I'll tell you, it could have been a lot more dangerous. There happened to be an off-duty police officer was present when this man ran up to the cart with a knife, and if he wasn't present and stopped this killer, it could have been a lot worse. So after this, and people are hearing about it, the trust of many brothers in this form of service is likely to be permanently shattered. Now, I didn't write that. That's what the paper says. That the paper is the one saying how dangerous it is. I'm not sitting here just making this up. I'm reading this from a newspaper from Germany. So this was a horrible incident, and I want you to know that I'm not happy Jehovah's Witnesses got hurt. In fact, my heart really is feeling bad for that. I can just imagine, because I still have relatives that are witnesses. I'm starting to get a little nervous about them. Maybe you're getting nervous about your friends who are Jehovah's Witnesses. It's dangerous going door to door, especially. Door to door is even more dangerous than those carts. Homeowners do not want strangers coming to their home uninvited. That's why I say all of these people who used to come to your door, the Avon lady full of brush man insurance, they don't come anymore. They don't. Yes, go ahead.
It's a good thing they didn't need a blood transfusion. Knife wound can be very serious.
Oh, yes. Who was that fella in there? Go ahead, you're on with us.
Yeah, thanks, Dixie. But Rick, I wanted to give you something that backs you up here. In South Africa, I was subpoenaed to South Africa courts, which means that South Africa court actually paid me to be present. And the place, I can disclose it because it's on public record. It was Cosmo City, and I was held up at knife point with a ceremonial African knife at a cart. And the community said, why didn't I shout out? I actually resisted the individual. But the problem was, though I resisted him, I was with a young person. That's a person under 18. So I was with a minor publisher, and he turned on when he saw he couldn't overpower me, he turned on the young person. And when that happened, of course, I lost my ability to have ground there, and I just surrendered to whatever he wanted, and there was a robbery. And the community that was observing this, they said, why didn't I shout out? I said, because it would have put the community in danger. Now, I want to give a resolution to this story because it supports your account of what you're reporting. And so it's happening in South Africa, but we actually caught the individual and he was arrested. The community wanted to perform vigilante justice. I intervened and he was arrested. But there it is on record. And when the organization did its investigation of this thing, their reaction was to break apart the congregation. And it's exactly like you say. Anything with some kind of liability pathway, they don't want to have that. So I don't know how that supports you, Rick.
Well, Matthew, I have to
Hi,
say,
Rick.
yes, hi, how are you? Thank you, Matthew.
I'm okay. I'm okay. This is Nicole.
Yeah.
So I want to give you an experience. I'll be very quick about it. So there was an incident back in my home country where two pioneer sisters, they had a Bible study, and they called, and it was with a male, and it was advised that sisters shouldn't have Bible study with males. They need to hand it over. Well, this sister didn't want to hand over the Bible study, but she took along with her another sister to go on this Bible study because she couldn't get any brothers to go with her. Well, this Bible study or student made sure that he had other friends along on the Bible study, and they raped those two sisters, two young sisters, the entire day, and then released them. And then these two sisters, as a matter of fact, the sister who was the one who had the the male Bible student, she got blamed for having a Bible student that is a male and not carrying along with her or taking along with her a brother to conduct the study with her. They did nothing for her, and she didn't go to the police because they told her not to go to the police because it will bring reproach on Jehovah's name. So that's the extent that this organization, that's the help that they will give by blaming you for doing something that is beyond theocratic arrangement. These two sisters. That's my comment.
Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. Boy, that even adds more fuel to the fire here. It's dangerous going out. Dick, did you want to say something? Yeah, go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, just a quick thought. I remember hearing from the platform in an assembly a story that the speaker was telling everybody, and it was that there was these two convicts that were on parole, and they were living together at this house, and they were both in prison or had been sentenced in prison for rape. So this young sister comes to this young sister comes to the house, knocks on the door, and the guy opens the door and he looks at it, and he took the magazines and she left. So the other former rapist says to one of the rapists, "Why don't you just pull her in here and we could do it?" And he said, "Oh no," he said, "there was two big guys right behind him." Well, I mean, that wasn't true. But what the Watchtower was trying to get the sisters to believe is that if you go door to door, you're going to have angelic protection, which is a big lie. And the other part that I want to mention is, I remember some of the brothers at my Kingdom Hall. If a sister got attacked, they'd probably run the other way. I don't remember too many brothers that I would call macho brothers, that would stand up for a sister. Some of those brothers were so feminine that their sisters would have to protect the brother. But anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you.
Well, we'll take the 2 cents worth, Dick. Thanks for sharing that story with us. In fact, it got me thinking. In fact, Nicole, even Dick here and other people, they got me thinking when I lived in Florida, there was a woman in the congregation, and she gave an incident when she was a young girl, and she was an attractive woman, and she had a sister who was attractive as well. And they were pioneers, early 20s, late teens, early 20s, and they were going door to door. And they knocked on one door, and the man let them in. "Come on in, and let me discuss the Bible with you." And actually, what it was they went in, and the man said to them, "Boy, you girls are really out doing God's work, but boy, you're so good looking." And it really frightened them, and they didn't know what to do. And he says, boy, he says, I'd like to be able to, have some fun with you girls. And so this really shook them up. So they didn't know what to do. Here they are in the man's house. And this is the position that many witnesses are put in, especially women. And so anyways, she had to think quick on her feet. And she says, oh, you want to have fun? She says, well, I have another sister out there as well. And, let me go get her. Let's get her in here with us. We can have a threesome, so to speak. So anyways, the two sisters went to the door. When the man opened it, they ran out. But these are the situations that people are put into. And I'll tell you what, it got me thinking, because I had two daughters that were pioneering at the time. And every time they were going, I'd get very, very nervous. You don't know who you're going to be talking to when you knock on the door. But, the witnesses, they're aware of this. But as Nicole said, don't, leave it in Jehovah's hands. They don't want that getting out. It's bad press for the witnesses. And then when I think of the Jehovah's Witnesses, they're pacifists. You know what a pacifist is? In other words, you don't really want to retaliate. You don't want to really get into an engagement with anyone. You just assume let it go. So the witnesses aren't armed. They don't carry pepper spray. They don't carry, stun guns and all that type stuff. So they're out there on their own. And boy, when we're encountered by pretty bad people, some pretty bad things can happen. See, Jehovah's Witnesses, they are actually demanded, even though they're considered volunteers, they are demanded to go into the preaching work. In some way, shape, or form, that they have to go into the ministry. And the Watchtower is really putting them in a very dangerous situation. And the brothers at Bethel, I often think of that, the governing body members, that they have security, that they have tight security at Bethel. And boy, they are watched like a hawk. And, so those guys are all being watched over, and security on their side, but they don't give two hoots of beans about the average witness going out and being a target for some of these people that, and it could be for a number of reasons. I'm not, why do Jehovah's Witnesses get attacked at a cart? Well, sometimes it's been said it's because, people have been so hurt by the Jehovah's Witness organization that they retaliate by trying to do something to active witnesses, shoot them, kill them, stab them, do something. I mean, there's an element of risk there, but it's not always ex-witnesses doing this type of mayhem in the organization. I'll just give you some other examples here. I won't go way back. I mean, I got 20, 30 examples. I won't give them all to you. But if we remember what happened in 2023 in India, Kerala, India, remember that in the Kingdom Hall, a bomb went off and 3 people got killed, 50 others were injured. They were attacked by a bomber in the Kingdom Hall. And then, of course, let's roll the clocks back again to 2023, March 9th in Hamburg, Germany. A number of people were shot in a Kingdom Hall. We all know that. We talked about it on 6 screens. You know it anyways. But 6 people actually died. 6 adults were killed, and an unborn child, who was still in the mother's womb, was also killed. And then the shooter actually took his own life. He happened to be a disgruntled ex-Jehovah's Witness. But these are the type of things. And I don't know if you remember, do you remember Rockford, Illinois? I don't know if you remember that or not, but that's another incident I wanted to bring up tonight. And that happened a few years back as well. We talked about that on our 6 screens. And what happened in Illinois, Rockford, Illinois, that's in February of 2023, a 54-year-old man, Manuel Perez, he was shot and killed while sitting in his car waiting for his family members who were in the preaching door-to-door work. So, I mean, this is not, I'm not making this stuff up. And then in Norway, they go, I won't get into all of them tonight, but in Norway, and I'm just going 2023 here. I go way back. I mean, I go back to 12 people, I believe, was killed in Australia with a bomb that went off years ago, back in the 80s. But I'm just staying local here. I mean, up to date, keep you up to date here on some of the things just happened recently. In October of 2023 in Norway, again, people attacked at their carts. In Spain, 2025, a number of people were actually attacked while engaging in the witness work. So it's not, Google it. Just put in Google Jehovah's Witnesses danger in the ministry or something along those lines. You would be surprised. Okay, did you want to speak up, Matt? Matt?
Rick,
Yeah.
that you mentioned Hamburg, correct?
Yes.
So Hamburg, that was my Bible student that survived that incident. They won't talk to me anymore because his sister's in the circuit work, and it was just very, very badly handled. But he has a young child and a wife. They survived. The Kobe didn't. And the reason why I got involved in that was because, the survivor was my student. And the other thing, too, was we have a large German contingency here on the peninsula that moves up and down to Hamburg. But I appreciate your broadcast because at least there's a record. We were basically told, no, you can't talk about it. This thing is shut down. But you see, the whole thing that happened there was the perpetrator was ejected from the religious system. So there is the plausible deniability card. But all I'm doing is I'm just verifying that, yes, you're not bloviating. You're not making this thing up. This is definitely what's happened, and the persons that I trained that are still in that congregation, well, we don't talk anymore because it's just too traumatic.
Well, thank you, Matthew. Thank you. I'll just say this: when I lived in Florida, there was we had some wealthy communities. And we had some very poor communities that I preached and went around door-to-door work. And one day I was assigned to go into this really old, dilapidated trailer park where people lived really, really at a very, very bad level. And so anyways, they said, Brother Farron, why don't you go in there and you can talk to these people about God's kingdom. So I went into the trailer park and knocked on doors, and for the most part, people were very nice. And then I opened the door, I knocked on the door, a man came, a big, tall guy, very, very slim, probably about 6'5" and very skinny. And so he says to me, he had a 357 Magnum in his hand. And he says, you know what this is? I said, I know what that is. And I know it was a 357 Magnum because my friend had one. So I says, what are you going to do with that gun? He said, I want to show you how I shoot it. So that scared me. I mean, it would scare you too, wouldn't it? And this guy I could tell was deranged. This guy was not right in his mind. So I says, well, what's your name? I was trying to calm him down a little bit because I didn't know what he was going to do with the gun. So I says, what's your name? He says, my name is Slim. I said, well, Slim, it's good to meet you. I wanted to bring you some good news today. So he says, you want me to, he kept on saying to me, you want me to show you how I use this gun? I says, well, not really. He says, well, I'm just going to shoot it at the tree. How's that? I said, well, it'd be best you don't do that. So anyways, I said, how'd you ever get the name Slim? He says, when I was a young guy, I was very tall and my father never loved me. And one day what he did, he messed me up mentally. He took a hose and he beat me with a garden hose. He says, I'll never forget that. And I've never been mentally correct all my life. So here's a man telling you he's mentally problemed or challenged, and he's got a 357 in his hand. I mean, really, it could have been dangerous. You don't know whose door you're knocking on, right? So I'm sure everybody out there has stories like that. If you have any more, go ahead. Who would like to? You must have a story of being in danger when you were in the field ministry, or maybe even the cart work. You must have been confronted at times by someone that kind of made you very nervous. We all talked to people that did that. I mean, if you went door to door, you had to run into someone that would have given you some type of a fright I mean, that's for sure. Well, anyways, if you don't have any stories to tell us, we can move on. We got other things to talk about. I want to talk about what happened today. I mean, you'd have to have your head under a rock somewhere. We now are at war, right? I haven't viewed the news here for the last 8 hours or so, but I woke up this morning with us, America, I should say, at war with Iran. Now, that's problematic. I'm not going to go into my feelings about it politically or anything. I'll let that be. It's not what I do here. We talk about Jehovah's Witnesses, but I try to connect news articles, news headlines with Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I have some beautiful books here that my friend Jim Hill gives me. Millions Now Living Will Never Die. I got some old Watchtower publications. I got books about the cult. I got some beautiful books. And I'll tell you what, if someone would like to just speak up and tell me what they think the Jehovah's Witnesses are thinking today, and they can come up with the best answer of what Jehovah's Witnesses are thinking today in view of what happened here this morning, I'm going to give you one of these books. So who'd like to be first in line? Tell me, what is Jehovah's Witnesses thinking today about this war? What do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was thinking that they're going to think this will be the cry of peace and security, if they do get a regime change in Iran. That would be my thought.
Well, that's certainly now. Here's the crazy thing about the Jehovah's Witness religion, Mike. How do you make sense out of nonsense? And you're absolutely right. And I will get you a book. And you are absolutely right. They were talking about peace and security. Now, who would like to tell me another side of that story? Is there another side to the coin? What else would they be saying? Go ahead, Nick.
But ABC has confirmed that the wicked leader that's had that for 37 years is no more. That's a good career move on his part. He's gone to wherever he's supposed to go. And I'm hoping that my cab driver will soon be the king of Persia. So that's my two
Well,
cents.
I haven't heard the news, Pixie. So you're saying the Ayatollah Khomeini, is that his name?
He is no more. He is no more. I have champagne. He is no more.
I mean, is he dead? Is he?
He's
Yes.
dead as a hammer. ABC has confirmed it. He's dead as a hammer.
Wow. I didn't hear that yet. Yo, thank you for sharing that. I haven't had a chance to do my own news. I couldn't listen to the other news.
Well, Rick, how did he die? I mean, why and who?
A missile blew up his residence.
From the United States.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
And the speech by our president told the people of Persia, I'm now referring to it in that way, that to stay in their homes and that very soon they will have a new regime.
Well, that's good news. So Mike, I mean, if the witnesses heard that, they will be saying, well, that's going to be peace. But on the other,
Yes, also, Rick, that the king of the north might change. They might change their understanding of the king of the north. If they really want to bring on Armageddon pretty quickly, then they just might change their understanding of the king of the north.
well, that's true too, Nicole. Now, I can't send you a book because you're up in Canada, but you already have one book, and I'll send you another book. But give me an address in the United States where I can send it, because they won't.
I will.
You do that, and I'll get you two books. I'll pick. I know. I know your personality. I know what you like. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Good. All right. So I was thinking now, what else could they say? Mike was right. Nicole is right. Well, then I have to change probably the king of the north. Mike was saying peace and security. But when you wake up to bombs flying, what else would you think if you were a witness?
Armageddon.
Armageddon. This is the start of Armageddon. There's wars in one place after another. The world is at war here. So, you can go in all these different directions. This is where the Watchtower has been able to pull all this baloney off on people for so many years, because no matter what direction the world goes in, they come out smelling like a rose. So now it looks like it's, peace and security, we're so close. or someone could say, well, look at that, the world's at war, Armageddon's around the corner. I mean, they win all the time. They win all the time. It's crazy to me, right? But no, I haven't heard the news. So that, in a way, I mean, that's you know. In fact, Iran, it's a theocracy, and is like a quasi-religious political mixture there. And it's we know what theocracy. I mean, the Jehovah's Witnesses claim to be like a theocracy, and we know how dictatorial, totalitarian theocracies work. Just well, Trump came on, right? Trump came on, and he gave about probably a 10-minute speech on why he did all of this, and other presidents didn't do it. And he brought forth a good argument. He did. I mean, these guys have really been a thorn in the whole world's side for many, many, many years. For 50 years, they've been a real problem to the world because of their theocracy, because of their mixture of religion and political power, and it's so mixed up in their ways of thinking about dealing with other people, and they're the only ones that are right on the planet. Who's that remind you of, right? Who's that remind you of? The Jehovah's Witnesses, the only ones right on the planet. Well, they had the same feeling. All right, so let's yeah, go ahead. You're on with us.
Well, just another quick thought. I'm thinking some of the witnesses might think, well, if Iran was the so-called to become a democracy, maybe the preaching work could have been up there. You know, they might come to that conclusion.
Oh, they could come to that conclusion. I didn't think of that, Mike. No, the minds of some of those witnesses, and oh, great, because you couldn't go door to door in Iran. You'd be dead. You'd be a dead duck. Talk about, yeah. Hey, give me
my guess is it won't turn out too well there.
Yeah.
I guess the question I want to know is, what did the Jews pay him to bomb them?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Now you send me your address. You get my email. Send the address. I'll get a couple books out to you. I got a few books here. I'll get out to you, Mike. Because yeah, I appreciate you calling in with us tonight. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So that happened today. And I always find it fascinating. And even when I was a witness, I used to think of it. How can you have it both ways? Everything that happens in the geopolitical world, the witnesses can spin it in their direction. And, I think that's a little cheating, isn't it? I mean, don't you really think that's cheating when you think about it? And how is it that our minds could accept that? But we all did. We all accepted what they said. And we all were looking forward to that. When they say peace and security, Armageddon's right around the corner. They'd always use Matthew, the 24th chapter, earthquakes after one another. How many witnesses do you know actually used to count the earthquakes and write them in their Bible? Witnesses did that. Oh, we had an earthquake today, Rick. Oh, yeah, we did. And then I would think sometimes, too, that, I think there's always been earthquakes. It's just that the reporting has got better. I don't know if the earthquakes increased, but these are things that I often thought about. And so anyways, the witnesses, they take everything to the bank and they cash it before it's even known to be of any value. But I know today they must have been dancing in the parking lot. But how can you really have such a glee feeling over people being killed? But the witnesses did, yeah. You're on with us. Who wants to talk? Go ahead. You're on with us. 623. Is that you? Go ahead. 623. Want to speak up? 623. Okay. I guess you don't. I got to mute you because you have your YouTube on. Yeah. All right.
Oh, 623?
Yeah, it's 623. Is that you?
Oh, okay. I'm listening to you on YouTube. This is a little off subject. I just wanted to know, are you going to have Fritz Springmeyer on your show again anytime soon?
Well, I thank you for asking that. Would you like to have him on?
Sure.
Yeah. In fact, I'll give him a call. I'll give him a call and ask him, and he'll come on. Or maybe it'd be nice to get him on in the next couple of weeks, and he can give us his spin on what's going on. You like Fritz, do you?
Of course I do. He helped wake me up. And when I read his book, 13 Bloodlines, in 2020. But I did listen to him when he was on, the convention that you had for XJWs in August. Now, before the convention, he had mentioned that he was going to be coming out with a new book. Did he bring that new book to the convention? I was wondering because I did want to purchase it, but there was no more mention of it.
Yeah, he did bring some to the convention, and he had them there. If you write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, jwworldnews@gmail.com, when I talk to you, I'll tell him that you're looking for his book, okay?
Okay, I will mention the conversation.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So now you a first-time caller, are you?
No, I'm not a first time caller. I've called before.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. But because you're so nice, you have a very pleasant voice. I'd like to send you a book. Would you like a nice book? Not I don't have Fritz's book here, but something like Millions Now Living Will Never Die. Would you like a copy of that?
Sure, I do not have it in my library. When my mother died in 2024, my sister I was actually supposed to get all the copies of Bound Bios. I mean, I just wanted to have them, just for reference sake for certain things that come up. And since I'm not living in the state anymore where I was born at, because I'm in Arizona now, my sister ended up. She said she recycled all of them. I mean, my mother, she had bound volumes back from the 50s. And I was just a little disappointed with that because I would have had to have it transported from Detroit to Arizona, but I found a shipping company that actually shipped books for less, instead of going through UPS or FedEx or even the post office. So I kind of missed out on that, but I was able to get one of the bound volumes I brought back with me, and it was the one, I don't wait. It was the one that showed that angel with the leg that looked like a hook. And it was one of those subliminal images. Because at first, I did not believe that the subliminal images existed in the bound Bible until I started looking closely. And I was just shocked. But I have that one. I got that one with me right now. So I was able to say that one. But all the other ones, I could not get. My sister, that's still in Detroit, she's still a witness. She's a, pioneer and all that. And she, like I said, got rid of the bound volume. So, but anyway, I do not have that copy, and I'm surprised my mother didn't have it either.
Well, you got a good copy there. Now I'll tell you where you can get some of the books. You can get them on eBay. You can get some of the bound volumes on eBay, and of course the Watchtower has tried to destroy all of these old books. They brought them back and burned many of them up at Wallkill, from what I understand. They wanted all the congregations to clean the bookshelves, get rid of the old publications, and they sent them back to Wallkill and they burned them all. Yeah.
I know, because the one that I have is the Watchtower from 1983 bound volume. That's the only one I was able to get from my mother's collection. So, because all the other ones I couldn't bring back with me, when I came back to Arizona. So, it's like, oh well, but I do have a reference Bible.
Well, that is
actually the Bible.
Well, you got the 83 Watchtower bound volume. That's a good one. There's a lot in there. I believe that's the article too. I believe it's in November, where they have the subliminal image of the Zeus, the god Zeus, in the woman's skirt. I don't know if you know about that one. Yeah.
Right, that's the one that I got, and I got the page folded back, and in fact, my sister and her husband are coming to visit me next week. We're doing a wellness check because I'm going through what I call the sea monster, which is cancer, and I just been dealing with that right now. But they do check up on me, and she tried to get me to move back, but I don't want to go back to Detroit. Especially also what I had to go through. It's a long story which I will not get into, but it's some mess I went through with my ex-husband and a congregation. And my ex-husband is, he died in 2019, but I told my older sister, I just do not, I guess, okay, this is the best way to put it. I get anxiety attacks when I see those witnesses from the various different congregations because I was raised in it. And I know a lot of witnesses in the Detroit area and suburbs. So I had to get out of Detroit. And so that's why I'm here in Arizona. I did not become established with a congregation here. My sister, every time she comes, she says, well, I think you need to get to know the witnesses in Arizona, at the local Kingdom Hall, because they would be able to help you, especially when you need to go to the hospital. And I told her, I got a good support network here. I made a lot of friends when I moved to Arizona, throughout the year. And they are here, they're here to help me if I need help. But she thinks that I'll be better off with the witnesses and with the liaison committee. She thinks they would be in better position to help me with the doctors. So I know you didn't expect to hear all that. And I didn't actually.
Well, no, I'm glad you shared some of that for us and get that off your chest. And we wish too that things go well for you with your cancer. We hope and pray that you can get better. Well, thank you.
I love watching your show. I watch it faithfully every Saturday, and but I'm doing other things, besides conventional medicine. I'm doing some naturopathic treatments too. I really don't trust the conventional medicine, but I'm doing the best that I can to help myself and hopefully, prayerfully get through this. It's no joke.
No, it's not. It's not. We had a woman, in fact, last Sunday call in, and she also had pretty bad cancer as well, and she got cured. She really did, and she was so happy over that. And perhaps things can happen for you in that way too, sister. And I thank you for.
I hope so. I'm taking it one day at a time.
Well, good for you.
At least I don't go to the Kingdom Hall anymore, but my witness family, surprisingly, they still do talk to me. And but in my sister's mind, when I talked to her, this was like some weeks ago, she's saying, well, you're baptized Jehovah's Witness, because I never wrote a letter or anything. I had stopped going since 1998. But in her mind, I'm still a witness. And it's like, I don't even go to the hall. I don't claim to be a witness anymore. I don't do witness things.
Yeah, well, see what they'll do is they'll still kind of love bomb you and show you some attention, but as soon as they find out that you don't want to be one anymore, so you want to be very careful. I can understand the circumstance you're in, so you be very careful how you answer questions, okay, from them, and just kind of yeah. Yeah, well, you do that, and you should be all right because they'll still because they're not officially disfellowshipped or anything, and we having some health issues, they'll cut you some slack. So you be very careful. But thank you for calling in, and make sure you get that email off to me. I'll send you a book, and I'll talk to Fritz, and I'll tell you what I'm even going to do for you. Okay, I'll get a book from Fritz, and if I talk to him this week, I can get a book from him, and I'll get that book to you as well. How's that? No charge, no charge. Okay, you have it come as a little gift. Okay, for calling in. Thank you, sister. Thank you. All right, thank you. Well, there you are. I mean, we got people calling in, and we all have a story to tell, being in the Watchtower, right? And I want that sister to listen in because she gets into subliminal imagery. And I meant to tell her if she's still listening. We're going to get a little into the Epstein mess. We're going to get into that now. Yes, Kurt.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I'll make it really quick here. I know you're getting ready to change subjects. That sister reminded me quite a bit of Shirley in New York. I haven't heard Shirley for a while. It's good to hear Mike call in tonight. The Iran attack, and we were talking about how the Watchtower and members would react to it with a good job, and comments coming in about that. I want to kind of jokingly make I'm going to play prophet like the Watchtower's been prophets. You may have thought about this yourself. 2026 will begin a 7-year great tribulation. It will end in 2033. Christ Jesus, I believe personally, will come back to the earth. I want to just throw that in there because it kind of ties in with the Watchtower being prophets. But I think we all that are Christian really don't want anyone to be destroyed. But the sword is in the mouth of Christ, the Word of God, the faithful and true witness in Revelation 19 said his mouth, not his hand. It goes back to earth to rule over the nations. So anyway, I look forward to that. I hope I'm around to see it at the beginning of it. And whether I'm right or wrong, if people's trying to predict the end of the world, the end of this age for a long time. Thank you for listening to me.
Well, thank
you, everybody, and thank you, Rick, and for taking my call. Bye-bye.
Well, you're very, very welcome, Kurt. Always good to hear from you. Thank you. Well, I wanted to get into this subject, and we'll discuss it in somewhat detail, but I want to give credit. Well, it's going to be about Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, it's all over the news again. You see the Clintons being questioned in New York this week about their connection with Epstein and what have you. But I want to tell you that there's a great YouTube, and I was hoping to have him come on tonight, but I guess he couldn't, or he didn't get back to me. But I subscribed to his channel. His channel, he goes by Destructing Jehovah's Witness Brainwashing. Deconstruction. Deconstructing Jehovah's Witness Brainwashing. That's his channel. And I really, really took to heart what he had to say. He did some really thorough research concerning Watchtower and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, we bring this up, and of course, there's a lot of naysayers out there, Rick. Now, I'm only telling you what this man said, and it tickled my ears a little bit because I kind of believe that they are involved with Epstein. Now, do I have conclusive facts to prove it? The answer to that is no. But, when you go into court, there is evidence that can be brought forward that isn't factual. It's evidence that can kind of support the fact that this person is involved in the wrongdoing. In this particular case, the circumstantial evidence that this man presented in this YouTube video is very, 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 very good. I really like the way it was presented, but now don't take it that Rick Ferrin is saying all of this, okay? I'm just gonna mute a caller here because we got a lot of background stuff going on here.
Muted.
Okay. So I just want to bring this up about what he had to say, deconstructing Jehovah's Witness brainwashing. And I'll put a link up. When the video goes up, I'll put a link up to it so you'll be able to watch the video yourself. So anyways, if he started off by saying, if the Kingdom Hall that you were attending got sold, and you found out that the sale of that Kingdom Hall was in the Epstein files. Excuse me 1 second. Susan, you'll have to unmute yourself. Susan, unmute yourself. I'll unmute yourself. Okay, hold on 1 second. Did you want to?
Unmuted.
Hold on 1 second. Yes.
The radio is shut off.
The radio shut off.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
All right. Can you folks hear me on the telephone? Someone, can you hear me on the telephone? I just, Susan, my wife here, says she can't hear on the telephone. All right. Dial out, dial back in again. Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Yeah, just checking here. Susan, she works as my sound engineer here because it's just hard to know. It's hard to know whether you're on the air or not. We're on, a number of different platforms. So she checks the radio. We call our radio telephone network. So she can dial out and then come back in again. All right. So let's just go back here to the Epstein files. If your Kingdom Hall was sold, and you found out that the sale of the Kingdom Hall was in the Epstein files, what would you think? What would you think? It would raise some questions, wouldn't it? Well, rightfully so. You'd be suspicious. Well, I'm just giving an example as he was giving us the example. So the Watchtower, if you found out that the Watchtower organization, the buildings that were sold off in 2016 and 17, if you found out that those buildings were sold to Epstein, would that be of concern to you if you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses? If you found out, well, it would be. You'd say, what's going on here? Jeffrey Epstein's a pedophile. He's a criminal. He's about as bad as they get. Well, that's what you'd say, but you had to hide that. Now, the Watchtower, when they sold these buildings off, they had to hide it. They really couldn't tell you exactly who the purchaser of the building was. So this man in the YouTube video that I subscribed to his channel on, he did some extensive research. And friends, it takes a lot of time going through all kinds of paperwork and websites and PDF files and everything. So he is saying, this man from YouTube is saying that the Watchtower buildings was sold to the Jeffrey Epstein empire. And we know that Epstein was a very rich man. Where he got all his money, nobody even knows. But anyways, the way he went about this, because if you right now get in Google or even AI and you type in there Jeffrey Epstein and the Jehovah's Witnesses, or Jeffrey Epstein in the Watchtower, nothing will come up. You say, see that, Rick? Nothing came up. Well, this is the same argument that people have been making with this man that did the video. But he went into, they hide it, friends. A lot of this stuff is hidden. You can even see it with the people coming forward now and being questioned, like the Clintons were yesterday in New York. They're being questioned about their connection with Epstein. Everything is hidden. A lot of this stuff is, you got to sort through mountains of paperwork and files and emails and PDF files. It's so hard to get to the bottom of all of this. But anyways, this particular man claims that certain names have been protected and he had to do a lot of digging. In other words, what he did is he got onto the Department of Justice website. He started there and he started digging really deep. And when you look in the Department of Justice website concerning Jeffrey Epstein, There's tons and tons of emails, PDF files. I mean, you better have a lot of time on your hands to be able to go through this. So, anyways, he did. He went through all of these PDF files and the emails, and you can read them. And what he come to find out is the Watchtower organization, and I've said this before on the six screens. You know, we always think, oh, the governing body, they are the ruling arm of the Watchtower. They make all the shots. They create all the directives. Well, not so. I've always thought that they're just kind of like figureheads. There's someone bigger. There's someone bigger than the governing body. So in his research, now I'm just telling you what his research is. It might not be verbatim. I try to go through it and remember as much as I can. But anyways, what this man was saying on the YouTube video, and it'll be up on this broadcast when the broadcast is over. And I want you to watch his video. But this man talks about the real seller of the Watchtower. Now, you would think when you hear the term governing body, you think in terms of, you know, these are the wheels, these are the big mucky mucks. These guys they're the ones that call all the shots. Well, no, not so fast on that. There's a man named Leon Weaver. Leon Weaver. He is actually on the paperwork that was in charge of selling all of those buildings off. It's not a governing body member. In fact, no one has ever even heard of this guy. He thinks he's the big guy behind the Watchtower. And how many times did we discuss that? How many times did we discuss that there's got to be something behind this? Some of these people probably aren't even witnesses, but they got a good game going here. It's a money-making scheme. Now, the seller of the Watchtower property, 25 Columbia Heights and all that beautiful buildings in Brooklyn, the seller is named as Leon Weaver. Now, the purchaser, the person who purchased this, now we've all been led to believe it was Kushner, right? Trump's son-in-law. Well, that's just, you know, they put him into the mix, and we'll get into that in a second or two. But the purchaser of the buildings in Watchtower in Columbia Heights, the purchaser is a man by the name of David Mitchell. David Mitchell, and he claims that this guy he's a big wig as well. He's connected with the Watchtower somehow. He's not like one of the officials, but he is known here as the purchaser. So he's a big wheel. I mean, he knows the people at Watchtower, and he knows this guy Weaver. So the governing body, from what this man is saying, is not the real runners or the real rulers of the Watchtower. They're not really running anything. Leon Weaver is running everything. Now, it's pretty powerful. I mean, think about it. It's pretty powerful for one single-handed seller to be involved there. We're talking millions and millions of dollars worth of property. Usually there's, you know, when property is being sold, usually it's just a house, for example. I mean, let's take something that's complex and reduce it to its simplest form. If you're going to sell your house and your wife would be on the deed, well, then you both are on the seller's agreement. You know, you both will be there, you and your wife. And generally speaking, you got a corporation, there'd be more than one person. I mean, the Watchtower Corporation would be more than one person. So this guy's pretty big. I mean, just be the seller of Brooklyn and all the property in Brooklyn. My goodness, I can't believe this, but it caught my attention. But of course, Jared Kushner, as I just said, he is the son-in-law of President Trump. You've seen him. He's the Jewish man, and he married Ivanka. I believe her name is Ivanka, the blonde daughter from Trump, and they help run the Trump company even to this day. But the story that has been told is Jared Kushner was the one that came in and made the deal with the Watchtower. Now, the Watchtower actually had a video showing this. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but I did. I wish I would have downloaded it to show you. But this is back in 2017. And Jared Kushner was showing the Watchtower, and even one of the officials of the Watchtower was saying, "Isn't it nice that Mr. Kushner is going to now assume and purchase the Watchtower?" Well, that was all subterfuge. Well, what they did is they suggested that there were three buyers. Kushner was one of them, but there was two others. But the real thing, according to this man's YouTube, is the fact that one man, Weaver, is the guy that sold the Watchtower. So now, as soon as the buildings were all sold and people started doing research, Watchtower took the Kushner video down. Now, isn't that suspicious? They don't, they'll lie to you, but when people start catching up on their lies, they'll just take the video down, just like they did with that girl that's being shunned in Norway, right? Not in Norway, but the convention. The girl is being shunned, and the Norwegian Supreme Court saw that. They didn't get it down in time because someone did actually download it. So, they got that Jared Kushner clip that they had on him coming in and purchasing the Watchtower. They got that off pretty fast. That he no, they don't want people to know because he's not really the one that did it, according to this man on YouTube. So let's go a little bit deeper here. The term gaslighting, I kind of hate that term, for goodness sakes. You hear it all the time, but the real meaning of it is, accuse you of running ahead or giving you information to try to diffuse other information and get you all mixed up. And it's a powerful tool. Gaslighting is a powerful tool that the witnesses use as well as other corporations. And that's just what they were doing with all of this Kushner and all of this stuff they arranged, but never really told you the truth over it. So now what you have to understand here is this guy Mitchell, who is the new purchaser of the real estate in Brooklyn when it's sold. Now, this guy Mitchell, come to find out, he is involved in the Epstein emails. His name comes up. Now, that's a little bit suspicious, right? So Mitchell's name comes up. I just want to check something here, make sure everything's going smooth. Okay, it is. All right. So this man's name, Mitchell, comes up as the purchaser of the Watchtower buildings in Brooklyn. And this is back in 2016, 2017, I believe, is when all took place. Now, you have to understand that when you're buying, property in Brooklyn, you got to have deep pockets. You got to have them. You got to have deep pockets anywhere in the country to buy a house these days. Never mind a bunch of buildings in Brooklyn, New York. So, anyways, this guy evidently is a billionaire. I'm just going to go on the record to say he's probably a billionaire. So this guy Mitchell purchased the Watchtower buildings, and now, according to the research that this man has done on YouTube, he's finding out that Mitchell actually belongs to the Epstein organization. So he could almost say that Jeffrey Epstein bought the buildings through this guy Mitchell. Okay, I mean, it's safe to say that. That's basically what this man is saying. So some of the things that goes back and forth, because the emails, you got to really read through them. There's a lot of coding. When criminals write emails to one another, they don't write, "Hi, Susan, how are you today? Good to talk to you. Boy, I'm having a good day today." They use a lot of coding, secret words. They will say things that have meaning to people who are in the organization. Everyone else reading it had no clue to what it's being said. But when people are researching and looking into the Epstein files, they're finding a lot of this coding, like little secret words. All of a sudden, a word pops up that really shouldn't be in a sentence. Well, that means something to the person that email is being sent to. So there's a lot of this that's going on. So in this deal that was taking place between Mitchell and Epstein, and they were going back and forth, it appears as though Epstein bought, according to the information I have here, that Epstein evidently bought the Watchtower buildings, and he could have afforded it, friends. He was a multi-billionaire. I mean, really had his own island where he did all his sex trafficking. I mean, and he had blackmail too. He had all these people that would visit his island, really big names in the political world, big names in Hollywood, big name people would go in, to Epstein Island and would have sex with younger people, and they would do all kinds of devious demonic activity on this island, things you can't even imagine that took place. So what we're saying here is there's a connection. At least this video that I went through and looked at it closely and took notes on. I was hoping to have the man on with us tonight. Maybe we can get him on next week, but he didn't respond to me. So I didn't want this to go by the boards because the Epstein files are still being examined. But let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper on this Epstein and this David Mitchell connection. Now, just remember that David Mitchell is the purchaser of the Watchtower buildings in Brooklyn. But it's kind of like the Epstein organization. There's a tie between Mitchell and Epstein. That's one thing that came up when this researcher, when he went into the PDF files. So coding took place between them, and some of the things that was said, the emails between Mitchell and Epstein were quite shocking. And what Epstein was writing to Mitchell in emails, and a lot of it was in coding, but some of it was, clearly seen and understood, that Epstein was saying that there's a lot of evil and a lot of sex trafficking in the Watchtower buildings. Now, let's stop right there for a second. Now, you might be listening in and saying, I don't believe that, Rick. Do you believe the sex trafficking going on the Watchtower? Friends, I might not have believed it a year or two ago, but I believe it now. And we've actually had a program on here that lasted for like 5 weeks, and then we took it down. Okay, and it was a woman, Stephanie, and she, Sister Willow, that's the name we use for her. But Sister Willow, she claimed that she didn't go to Epstein's Island, but she was involved with Watchtower. They have their own place. She called it Deer Island. It was off of New York somewhere. And she was taken there as a young girl, and she was sexually assaulted as a young girl. And she came on the program and talked about it. She came to a 2025 Still Alive convention up here in August. And I believe the woman. I met the woman. She's a very credible girl, and she talked all about it. And then there was also some other women at that convention that also were sexually trafficked in the Watchtower. So, it's not far-fetched. And here's Epstein writing to this guy, Mitchell, that, oh, boy, this is something else. There's something evil going on here in these buildings we just bought. There's the Watchtower buildings. And he also mentioned the tunnels. Some of these buildings just have tunnels. He liked that idea where some things could take place that would be quite devious. We know there was tunnels. There's just too many dots, friends, we're putting together here. But like I say, it's just circumstantial. Is it enough really to accuse the Watchtower of being grossly involved with Epstein? I would say no at this juncture, but there's enough there to get you thinking. Let me move on, and maybe as I get you more information, but I'm getting this information from this YouTube channel, and I'll have that channel put up for you folks so you'll be able to watch it. I want you to watch it. I'm trying to be as precise as I can and I can remember. So I'm kind of just going on a wing here sometimes, but I do remember some of the things he was saying. So this David Mitchell being involved with Epstein, there's some connection with Mitchell, Epstein, and the Watchtower. So I'm just going to say a few things here that really caught my attention. In fact, this guy Mitchell was pretty close. Not just a friend with Epstein, but a pretty close friend, according to the PDF files that have been researched on this. And as a matter of fact, Epstein was in an email writing to Mitchell, and he says, "Oh, you're back in town." And then Epstein says, "I want to show you the new house. I want to show you the new house." And a lot of it was in code language again. So the new house here being the new buildings that they just bought in Brooklyn from the Watchtower. And then Epstein says, now you're going to be going to Jonathan's birthday party. And, he's talking to Mitchell. I don't know who Jonathan is here, but you're going to be going to Jonathan's birthday party. And then it's brought up, from what I can see here by Epstein, that it should be quite demonic and fun. That this is in the emails between Mitchell and Epstein. So you're going to this birthday party. It's going to be demonic and fun. Well, what does that suggest to you? Well, when you think of demonic and fun, it's almost like it doesn't go together, does it? But I mean, to pedophiles, it probably did. The sexual perverts, it probably would. Demonic and fun is the wording that was used in that email. And then, of course, he brings up here as well in this email, the building already, I'm reading this verbatim right from the PDF file, the building already has tunnels for the human trafficking and the sick stuff that they want to do that's there. So, I mean, so the Watchtower, evidently, according to these two men writing emails, this pedophilia stuff was going on for quite a while. And I'm not trying to raise the roof here too high, but all of a sudden there's a lot of things going through my head. We know, first of all, friends, we know that Jeffrey Epstein is probably the most famous pedophile, sex perverted person to ever live on the planet. But I'm going to even put Watchtower, even in a worse position than Epstein. I'm going to say that the Watchtower is even worse. I mean, they come in God's name. That they come in the fact that they're the only Christian organization on the planet, and then they are involved in stuff that even Epstein is saying is already going on in Watchtower before they even bought the buildings. So the conversation is kind of leading to the fact that they wanted to, they have all this sexual perversion going on this Epstein Island, and from what I've gathered and from some of the things I've read from this YouTube gathering, YouTube video as well, is the fact that they want to make these Watchtower buildings and it's already been going on in the past, so they just want to continue to make it even more of a pedophile paradise, you could say, some type of a perverted house of some type where demonic activity and sexual perversion takes place. Yes, go ahead.
Rick, it's Zachary. I'm so sorry. I'm off topic a little bit, but I got behind and I'm listening to the video, your YouTube, and on fast speed. You mentioned Leon Weaver, and you said you never heard of it. That name sounds familiar to me, and so I had to search Leon Weaver. It sounds like a familiar name. I went on their website. They did his life story. Probably in a past magazine too. They have this picture. It says, "I've enjoyed learning and teaching about Jehovah as told by Leon Weaver Jr." He's on jw.org.
Well, this...
I think he's a Bethelite, yeah.
All right, well...
I know I've heard his name.
Well, this one doesn't have a junior. He might be the son of this guy, Weaver. I mean, I had a district overseer named Weaver. I did. So I'm trying to put two and two together, but what I'm doing here tonight, this is not me, concluding all of this.
No, I'm not trying to go against you, but I am saying Leon Weaver, that name is probably a familiar name to many people. And there is a Leon Weaver at Bethel. I didn't know he was a junior either,
Well, that's interesting. No, hey, I'll take that. Thank you for sharing that with us. But this guy seems to be pretty big. I mean, when you stop and think about it, he's the one that actually sold the buildings off on the deed, on the deed that the purchaser had to sign, of course, and not to buy the property. This David Mitchell fella, but he on the deed was Weaver, and he was the only one on that deed, which is kind of it was kind of funny that would happen. Usually, corporations have offices and what have you that do all of this, but he was evidently a big wheel somewhere in Watchtower. So what we have here so far, just to bring you up to speed, We have watched the, yes.
I had muted myself. Leon Weaver, I wish I could remember well. The one I'm thinking of may have been on the factory committee because I think like a Thursday, they would be lined up in building 1 because they had their meeting then. And I feel like that's the person that I remember as a Leon Weaver. And he was kind of I guess you'd say in the corporate area, especially if he was on the factory committee. Okay, that's all.
All right, well, that's good. No, thank you. That's at least that adds a little more mystique to the business at hand here, Zachary. So what we do here now, just so people can get this, I'll just quickly summarize it. According to the information that I have got, this is the YouTube channel. If you want to look it up, I'm going to post it on my YouTube live program when we're done. Deconstructing Jehovah's Witness brainwashing. That's the channel. That's the channel. I subscribe to it. What this man does in this video is he did extensive research into the Epstein files. What he has concluded is that even though if you punch into Google Jehovah's Witnesses and Epstein, nothing's going to show up. Nothing. So a lot of people have been naysayers saying, see, there's nothing there. No smoking gun here. But he dug deeper. He went into emails. He got onto the Department of Justice website. On the Department of Justice website, you can look up the Epstein files. Now, you plan on spending probably 2 weeks going through this stuff. There's millions and millions of papers in there. And so he started doing his homework, and he said that the information that he gathered is from PDF files. Now, we all know what a PDF file is. Sometimes these files can be small. Sometimes they can be overwhelmingly long. So they're overwhelmingly long. And in the process of going through all of this, he found the emails. Many of these PDF files had emails. And the emails that he uncovered showed this Leon Weaver as the sole one that signed the paperwork selling the Watchtower property off. Weaver sold the property off Brooklyn Heights to a man named David Mitchell. David Mitchell, according to the PDF files and email files that this man uncovered in the Department of Justice, dealt with Epstein and Mitchell buddy, and they were talking about the new building they just bought and how demonic sex trafficking takes place in the new building. That's 25 Columbia Heights. And also on the tunnels underneath, they said were very good for some of this kind of secretive activity. So that's where we are. And I have to, I don't want to add my own 2 cents here, but I might when I get done talking to this, and I want you to add your 2 cents worth. So where we are right now is Epstein and Mitchell talking about demonic sex trafficking in the Watchtower. And then I said, look, I might not have believed that a year ago, but I believe it now. I really do, because I've had people on this program. Maybe about 6 months ago, remember, when a person came on, they wanted to talk about how they were trafficked in the Watchtower. And I was kind of skeptical to even go forward with it. But in the process of this person telling her story, how she was drugged as a young girl, and the mother and father, they were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they let the young girl go to some hotel and be sexually abused. And she remembered that. And she was telling her story here on the 6 screens. And then 2 other women called up and said the same thing. So I'm saying, whoa, maybe there's more to this than I think. And then, like I said, at the convention this summer, we had up here, the ex-witness convention, two of the women who were sex trafficked, she came to the convention. And one of them gave a talk there. And I mean, the woman was not lying. She was not lying. So that's where we are, but it gets deeper. Now, like I said, there's no smoking gun here. You know, I can't tell you with full conviction, oh my goodness, the Epstein organization is now in bed with the Watchtower. I can't tell you that. But this man's basically telling you that in this YouTube video. So, but I got my own thoughts on this, and I'm sure you do too. So let's just scroll down here a little bit. We can cut through some of the fat, and I want to bring some other things out that can kind of now bring us closer to making some type of a conclusion. Okay, what really struck my attention even more than anything here is when Epstein, in these emails talking to Mitchell, talks about demonic trafficking and sex trafficking and the tunnels, and they're going to make this into some type of a sex perverted complex of some type. Because I mean, right now, if people really wanted to get that erotic, they had to go out to the Epstein Island where they did all kinds of nefarious sexual misconduct. But now they evidently want to do it right in Brooklyn. That's what I'm getting from these emails. And friends, don't head for the mountains when you hear this, because it sounds very, very difficult. All right, now I'm going to give you kind of like my own spin on this. And even the man that I got this video from, I'm going to try to get him on here. I got to get him on here within the next week. I tried to get him on this week. He didn't get back to me. But anyways, I'm going to put a little spin on this. and then you can take and do what you want with it. But here's what I'm feeling right now. Okay. Tony Morris all of a sudden is no longer a governing body member. Okay. He left. That was back in 2023, I believe it was. So all of a sudden he disappears as a governing body member. And everyone's wondering, what happened? What happened to Tony? Where's Tony? You know, governing body member. It's like a bleep on the radar screen from jw.org. It was up there for a short while, and it just basically said that Tony Morris was no longer one of the governing body members. No reason, no statements, no narrative, nothing along those lines. It's just he's not a governing body member. So everybody, of course, jumped to conclusions. Well, what happened to Tony? Where's Tony? But remember that Bottlegate video that John Cedars kind of put up? Someone evidently sent it to him. And so John Cedars put up, we all know Bottlegate. Remember, it showed Tony Morris going into a liquor store in New York and buying, $1,000 worth of very expensive scotch. And, it was a big deal. It was like, whoa, look at this. But, when I stop and think about it now, it's really not against the law to buy booze. Now, obviously, people for the most part don't buy a case of booze. But I mean, if you're buying it for people to watch, that doesn't mean they're going to drink it all in one night. You might have, a little sip here or there. But, we all made a big deal about that, even me, John Cedars, and everybody else. So we all kind of jumped to the conclusion that Tony Morris, well, he must have been let go because he's a drunk. You're not supposed to be drunk if you're Jehovah's Witness. So we all jumped to that conclusion. We'll stop here for a second because I think we have a caller want to come in. Did 651 want to say something? Go ahead, 651.
Yeah, Rick, this is the fella from New Orleans.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment on what you said about Tony Morris in buying the bottles of whiskey, and that it's not against the law to buy whiskey. But that's not the point that the video is making. I think the point that the video is making is the cartoon character Sophia with the ice cream, about not buying an ice cream cone and putting a coin in the contribution box. Where here we have a governing body member who's spending $1,000 on alcohol and a lot of it too, which indicates that maybe he's an alcoholic. So I think the point being made, why that was such a, people were calling him out on the alcohol. I think part of it, maybe the main part was, part of it was the cartoon, the cartoon about the ice cream cone. But of course, it makes him stand out as a governing body member, representative of the Watchtower, and it looks bad on him. Going in there and buying a bunch of alcohol. It looks like he's a drunk. He sits at home and gets drunk. But I'd like to make another comment about the tunnels, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, why don't we hold hold it? Well, let's hold off right now for that, and with the tunnels, because I'm going to give more information. Then I'm going to open the lines up. I'd like to have you come back in and talk, because I still have a little bit more to go on this. But before I cut you loose here right now, can you tell me why you think Tony Morris was disfellowshipped?
I think that it was because probably the main reason, because I can't think of any other thing unless it's something that we don't know about. But I believe that he was taken off the governing body was because of that liquor store video. I think it made such a big impact, and it embarrassed the governing body members. I think that was probably the main thing that they deleted him off the governing body. And maybe there were other things too.
Well, no, but just stop right there. That I'm going to take that as okay. That what you did is you just solidified a conclusion that I came to. Now I want you to call back in when I open the lines up in about 5 or 10 minutes, okay? And I want to hear more from you. But I'm going to go back to my story. I'm going to stop because I want to talk about Morris and that Bottlegate incident. So hang in with us, brother. Thank you for calling in. Hang in. Yeah, and then come back in. All right, let's go back now. I want to bring Tony Morris. Now, you just heard from that caller, and he thinks that he was disfellowshipped. That is, Tony Morris was disfellowshipped. I'm sorry, he was not disfellowshipped. Why he was removed as a governing body member is because maybe alcoholism. Now, I jumped to that conclusion. How could you not? I mean, how could you not? But what if I told you that Bottlegate video might have been a red flag? It might have been something that was getting your attention away from the real matter. Because, there's plenty of governing body, plenty of witnesses drink, even the anointed drink. Okay, so it's not against the laws of the rules or a sin in the Jehovah's Witness religion. But we all jumped to that conclusion. Oh, that's what must have happened with Tony. They had to get rid of him. Probably drunk driving, drunk or whatever. But that was just, from what I am now gathering, I'm really seeing this. I think that was subterfuge. I think that was put out there to get people's attention away from what he really did. Now, how can I even make that claim? How can I even say this? But I can say it because of Selena Vertolomo. Oh, who was Selena Vertolomo? Well, she called in to the program about 3 years ago. Everyone remembers it. It's one of the most listened to broadcasts we ever had here at the Six Screens. Selena Vertolomo was a Jehovah's Witness woman, and she claims, as a younger Jehovah's Witness girl, that Tony Morris, now she's claiming this. I'm not saying it happened, folks. I'm saying she's claiming it. And she was accusing Tony Morris as being a pedophile. And Tony Morris molested her, and from what I remember, when she called in her sister. So I'm thinking, wait a minute. When she came on that night, I was really very careful how she said it. She came on very dogmatically, very straightforwardly, and said, Tony Morris did this to me and my sister. And I said, well, let's be careful now. But she adamantly stated that. And so anyways, it made a big splash. A lot of people listened in, and a lot of people were really, really fascinated with what she said. And she drove down to Tony Morris, and she drove down to his house, where the house that supposedly was given to him by the Watchtower. He lives in Lumberton, North Carolina. And she drove down to Tony's house, and you remember what she said. She said, I am on the lawnmower, and I am going to cut his, I think she said ass, but should have been grass, right? I am the lawnmower. And she was so upset with Tony Morris. She didn't really, from what I don't think she got to speak with him from what I remember, but she drove down there with a real effort to let him know that she is on his trail. Okay, stop right there. Now, Doesn't that sound more reasonable that Tony Morris would be removed for an act of pedophilia than drinking some liquor? I mean, well, how do you think about it? So something was bigger here. Now I'm putting two and two together with the Epstein files. We know that Watchtower, for many years, it's a known fact that the countries are knowing about it. The sexual perversion that takes place in the Watchtower organization. Isn't it kind of corresponding to the sexual perversion taking place in the Epstein organization? These are probably the two worst sexual sexual perverted organizations on the planet. So put two and two together. So I'm just thinking out loud. That may be the reason why Tony Morris was indeed removed as a governing body member, and he may have been involved in the sex trafficking and involved with Epstein, and they gotta get him out of the way. They gotta get him out of the way. So this is where we are. There'll be more coming out on it as we go downstream. So I really wanted to bring that to your attention. Now, I don't want you to say that Rick Ferrin says all conclusively that the Watchtower is involved with the Epstein organization. I did not say that. I didn't say it. I'm just throwing this on the table. I want to get your thoughts on it. I want to get your thoughts about Tony Morris. I want to get your thoughts about, about this David Mitchell and Epstein, about Leon Weaver, sole seller of the Watchtower. I mean, that's unusual for a corporation to have one name as the seller. That's a pretty powerful person. So let's open the lines. I want to get your thoughts. *6. Any comment at all? Go ahead. You're on with me. Let's go to 270. Yep.
Hi there, Timmy. I tried to call in earlier. Oh.
Go ahead, Penny. You're on with us.
Hi. I'm sorry about that. My phone is acting so ugly. I called because this is my thing about all of this is for the past 10 years or so, I struggle with all this sexual abuse and all of the sexual abuse with the children because I have lived this my whole life. And I can remember way back when we got our president, and I won't talk on that a lot, but I never liked him because I get that sick feeling about people. And I feel that this is probably true about Mr. Morris. I don't know. I'm not accusing him. But the fact that the connection of being him or some of those within the organization, and they even try to say that Ghislaine Maxwell was interested in being Jehovah's Witness before she got arrested and prosecuted. So who knows about that, truth or not truth? But I watch two really good, well, no, sorry, because Katie Kurt's one of them that does independent media. And I have been so into politics ever since Trump started coming around. But now it's just like I keep thinking, oh my God, every bit of this is all wrapped in one thing. It's like the child sex abuse, Jehovah's Witness, the government. I mean, something's got to give here because this is so overwhelming that even dealing with my health issues, the overwhelmingness I feel is unbelievable. The pressure But that's really all I wanted to say. I think there's something to this, Rick. I really do.
Well, thank you, Penny. Thank you very much, Penny, for calling in. I'm just going to mute you here. All right. Well, thank you, Penny, for calling in. No, there's a lot of dots here connecting, and there's a lot of stuff that we can't say for sure, but there's two things I know for sure. Two things I know for sure: that Epstein was a bad person. And I know the Watchtower is a bad organization, but how bad are they? I think it's pretty bad when you abuse children, mess their entire life up, and then try to cover it up. The Watchtower is guilty of that, friends. That's what they're totally guilty of. And they will not come forward. They enjoy doing this, that they enjoy this sexual perversion. Other than that, they would stop it. They would put an end to it. And evidently, Epstein enjoyed having people suffer. Some of the things I've heard that happened on that island, I won't even tell you here. But this man had really serious problems when you would exploit people to the point that he did, ruin people's lives. Watchtower does the same thing. I appreciate Penny calling in. Who's next? Who would like to speak up? Who would like to give their thoughts on this?
Rick,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
this junction guy.
Yes.
I did a search, and I don't remember anybody mentioning it or you even saying it, but I did a search on this Leon Weaver, and there are several sites coming up referring to him as Watchtower Society president and the first black president of the Watchtower Society, and that he was succeeded by Harold Corcoran, and before him was Serenko and Don Adams. But I didn't know this. I didn't know this name, never heard of him. This is just what's showing up in the search results, that he was the president of the Watchtower Society.
Yeah, no, I never heard that either, but he was a big wheel. And, just for the sake of, if you do a regular Google search, you might get some information, but if someone is out there and they really want to go deep into this, get onto the Department of Justice website and to punch in their Epstein files and start. I mean, I hope you get a lot of time to do it. Yeah, I hope you have a lot of time to do it because there's millions and millions of papers in there. You have to go through PDF files, emails. You might find it fascinating, but start there. If you really want to get into the meat of this, go ahead and start there. Well, thank you, Junction. Now, Junction guy, while you're still on here, well, why do you think Tony Morris was removed as a governing body member?
Well, I don't think it was that video, that Bottlegate video, and I don't know how many months before he was removed that the video came out. I honestly don't believe that was the reason. I don't know. My thoughts are, he's involved somehow with this CSA cover-up, for sure, at least that part. So that's my thoughts. I mean, it could be 100 reasons. We don't know, but I don't think it was Bottlegate. In fact, do you remember a few years ago, the Watchtower Society had a video up to these two brothers that owned a whiskey distillery in Tennessee?
I don't remember that. No.
Do you?
No.
You don't remember that? It was two. I think it was two witness brothers opened a distillery in Tennessee, and it was called 10 South Distillery or something like that. And there was a little bit of an uproar with it at the time, and then the society removed it from the jw.org. It wasn't available on there.
Wow, I never heard that, Junction guy. Wow, my goodness. Well, thank you, Junction guy, for weighing in here tonight. I really appreciate it. Always good to hear from you. You got a nice. You're a calm guy. Do you ever get anxious in life? You always sound so calm to me.
Oh, I get anxious all the time.
Well, you come across as a good old Tennessee man. Thank you, Junction guy. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, friends. I mean, there's a lot going on here, but in fact, one thing this man did say in the YouTube video I was talking about earlier. My wife here always mentions to me, Rick, there's no such thing as a coincidence. And you probably have other people that said that too. And you kind of think about it. So this man is basically saying the same thing. Is it a coincidence that Watchtower and the Epstein organization are buddy buddy? Is it a coincidence? And he talked about the law of average. Now, I like that thought. There's a law of average. When something kind of pops up more than it should, when something becomes more, you know, within the system of things that you're looking at here that keeps popping up, then you gotta give a close eye to that. And I can just what's going through my head right now is I try to think of two sexually perverted organizations. And of course, with Epstein in the news so much, that kind of pops up almost first. But I mean, also on the forefront of my mind is the Watchtower. Is that a coincidence? I mean, no, it's not. It's a law of average. You got two real bums here, and they keep showing up. And I think as more and more of these emails come out, more and more investigation, uh, I'm going to throw something. I don't want to sound like Fritz Springmeyer here, Jimmy Bell, or Reese, but I'm going to give you my own thoughts. I don't think I have my tinfoil hat on, but there's a lot going on in the world right now. Here we are at war with Iran. We had, I was kidding around last week. I called Massachusetts Alaska-chusetts because we got so much snow up here. People are freezing. It's getting warmer now, but for about a whole month, we were in a deep freeze. People couldn't even think. You get in your car, you're so cold. You're hoping it's even going to start. You're digging out snow to even get out of the driveway. People have a lot on their mind. At the same time, what do we got going on? The Epstein files. So, I might be jumping to conclusions, but, it's very hard for me to believe everything that you hear these days. I don't believe the governments. I don't believe religion. I don't believe business. I don't believe the news they're telling me on TV. It's hard to really believe anything. So when I see all of this mayhem and world geopolitical problems going on in the world, my mind jumps. My mind takes a quantum leap into thinking, is this all to get our mind off things? Is this to kind of get our attention focusing somewhere else? Well, this could all be covered up. Well, I know that's what the Watchtower does. I know good magicians do that too. Watch this hand while they're doing something in this hand. So, then I'm putting this all together with what I just said with the bottle gate. We all jump to conclusions. I mean, everybody on the six screens, we talk about the news and the Watchtower every Saturday night. And geez, that came up when Tony got removed as a governing body member. People were all jumping to conclusions. Well, he must have been drunk driving, or maybe he was in an accident and he was drunk, or maybe he was at a party somewhere and he was drinking too much, and people now know, so we got to get rid of him. I don't think so. I think it was something bigger. I think it was something bigger. What do you guys think? Go ahead, hit *6. Come on. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you're thinking. Yeah, you must have some thoughts on this. Do you think that Bottlegate video was subterfuge? Do you think it was put on there to divert our attention? No, I do. I really, really do. Well, anyways, there'll be no six screen Sunday tomorrow. It's next Sunday. I want to thank you all for coming in and being with us tonight. It's really good to be able to do this every Saturday night and be able to talk to all my friends out there and give our thoughts. That's how we do here. We sit here and we give our thoughts. I give the news, you guys spin it, and we really try to find out what really is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. But I really am quite honored to have, I'll tell you, our audience, and I'm not the only one saying this, but we have a very smart audience. And in fact, I was really pleased to hear that. Someone mentioned to me that, Rick, that six screens, those people calling in, they're pretty sharp. Isn't that nice to hear something like that? So, call in. When you guys can call in and voice your thoughts and your comments, it really helps the program a lot. It really helps a lot of witnesses to find the exit door at the Kingdom Hall. So I want to thank you all. But before I do leave the program, I want you to know that we do leave the phone lines on. We have a conference call line here, and I'll leave it on tonight. And we have numerous, in fact, quite a few people come in. It's not recorded. You can talk to the cows come home, so to speak. There'll be people in there just like you and me, and you talk about a whole lot of subjects. Some of it not even all Watchtower stuff, but you can just talk about whatever's on your mind to the people who will listen to you in the conference call program that comes on right after this. It's not recorded. It's not live, so you don't have to worry about a thing. But I want to thank everyone for coming into the 6 screens tonight. I don't want you to ever give in, up, or out. I want you to keep waving the flag of victory. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. No 6 screens tomorrow. We'll see you next week at 6 o'clock right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. Thank you very much.